Hi, this is Omar, the pharmacist, talking to you from Utopia Pharmacy. It has been a while since I made a live video, and we're airing today on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm a pharmacist in Wisconsin, and I want to talk and express my opinion about the new vaccines that are now in the US market. We're talking about two vaccines today. We're talking about Pfizer vaccine, between Pfizer and BioNTech, and the Moderna vaccine, which is funded by the NIH. And both vaccines are in the market after, how long we say, 8-10 months after we were introduced with the COVID-19 virus. So today I am going to be very critical in answering some questions. So I'll give an introduction about the development of a vaccine and kind of try to answer some of the questions that we might have. And I collected the answer from experts, going through research, going through listening to doctors and scientists who are involved with development of vaccines. So first of all, I want to say something about the creation of a new vaccine, because it's more complex than creation of drugs. So the first question is like, what are the stages of creating a vaccine? Well, there's preclinical trial, which is a proof of concept studies that are done on animals. You finish this, you go to phase 1 studies. Phase 1 studies in which we try to develop the frequency of dosing and the dose that you're going to use to vaccinate people in the following phase. So you give, in phase 1, between 20 to 100 people, you involve them in the trial. You give a variety of different doses to see whether or not you can safely induce an immune response you think will be protective based upon the animal model work that you did in the preclinical trial, and then you slowly increase the dose of each group of people to see if there's any bad side effects that are going to start from the smallest dose you can provide. In phase 1, we're not actually sure what to assess or not if people are going to have legitimate immunity. In other words, we're not actually testing the ability to resist the infection. We're measuring the ability of an antibody to act, and you have kind of a prediction based on the animal module. Then come to phase 2 and phase 3, in which you are actually trying the dose that you agreed on from phase 1. You're trying it on thousands of people. The preclinical trial for a vaccine can take up to 10-15 years. And that poses to us a very important question. How come a vaccine that can take 15 years to develop, you develop it in 8 to 10 months? And the reason is because there was a project, Warp Speed, as we know, that was funding from the government, taking the financial burden from the companies and telling them, just invest the money, work your magic, and even if you produce thousands and millions of doses, we can throw them away. We're talking about $20 billion of funding. So that has helped the companies to move on and just kind of create something. Some of the questions that we have now are about the messenger RNA vaccine. It's new technology that provide this sort of vaccine. Well, actually, it's not very new, because scientists have been working with the vehicle, the lipid vehicle, for over 10 years. So messenger RNA, to use it in order to develop a vaccine, this is not new. It's just what's new is that it's the first applicable drug to be in the market, first applicable vaccine to be in the market using it. So that's that. But what is messenger RNA vaccine? We're talking about a single strand of genetic material that we introduce to the body. And what we have is like a piece of encoded SARS-CoV-2 protein, like a piece of the actual virus that's encoded. It's made in the lab, and we want to trigger an immune response in your body. Well, how is that? It's because the messenger RNA gives your cells instructions to produce a protein. This protein is similar to part of the coronavirus, which is the spike protein. Think of the spike protein as the arms and legs of the virus that uses it in order to attach itself to your cells, okay? If you cut the arms and legs, you neutralize the virus. And that's the whole concept of the messenger RNA vaccines produced. You are trying to neutralize, you are trying to have your body produce antibodies that would go against the spike protein that would attach to the body cells, and that's going to help you kind of neutralize the virus, okay? So the approach that was used is actually accelerated and not rushed, because rushed means that you're cutting corners, but if you listen to the doctors, to the FDA, to the CDC, there was no corners that were cut. The funding was used in order to do kind of enough research to just do it right, do it fast, and give us results. But how safe is the vaccine? After enrollment of thousands of people who got the vaccine in both studies, we're talking about 30,000 people with Moderna, 43,000 people with Pfizer. So we have seen fever, weakness, headache, muscle aches, arm pain, and those are signs that your immune system is revving up. These are the main side effects, site-specific reaction to getting a vaccine. This can happen also similar to kind of what we see with the flu vaccine. Nothing that is out of norm, okay? Actually, if you get a vaccine and then you have fever, this is not a bad thing, because it means your immune system is revving up, your immune system is being prepared, you're starting to produce antibodies. And I would not recommend taking Tylenol or ibuprofen prophylactically after you take a vaccine, because there is 2 big studies that show that if you take Tylenol and ibuprofen after you take the vaccine, you're actually decreasing your body's ability to produce antibodies. So just if you cannot take the fever, take Tylenol or ibuprofen, but if you can live with it, the immune system acts much better in a higher temperature. Okay, I have some questions. They are not in order, so I will just go over them and answer them quickly. How many doses we have for each vaccine? We have 2 doses. The Pfizer vaccine, we have 21 days between the doses. Moderna vaccine, we have 28 days between the doses. If you take the first dose, you need to take the second dose exactly after 3 weeks. For the Pfizer vaccine, until today, the answer is no. It can be more than 3 weeks, but you don't want to wait very long after 3 weeks. Okay, so 4 weeks, 5 weeks, but don't go past like a certain mark that we will understand more about this in the coming few days. But the experts are telling us that if you take the first dose and then it takes you longer than 3 weeks to take the second dose, it should be okay. But you should be taking always 2 doses to get full immunity, okay? Another question is coming, especially in the last 24 hours, about anaphylactic serious reaction to the vaccine. A couple of cases have happened, but it's still very low probability that an anaphylactic reaction can occur. There is a side effect of Bell's palsy that happened to the vaccine. We want to know how serious is it. Bell's palsy, it's a facial nerve inflammation or damage that usually reverses itself. It can take some time, and for what we know, the facial nerve controls these muscles in the face. If you have Bell's palsy, you would have like a droop or inability to move half of your face. Think of someone is like smiling funny. It's very uncomfortable, but it resolves after days or weeks. And there is like with the Pfizer vaccine, we have seen 4 cases in the vaccination arm. So people who got the vaccine, actually there were 4 cases among 43,000 people who took and who were enrolled in the study. And with the Moderna vaccine, there is 3 people who got it in the vaccination arm, and the people who didn't get the vaccine, got the placebo, had only one person who got Bell's palsy. But because there is already an amount of people who get it in the general population, the four people who got it among 73,000 people who got the vaccine, it's like falls within this range, so it is not very serious. Another question I have, and it's very important: does the vaccine have preservatives? Well, there are two vaccines, okay? I'm going to tell you the ingredients of each one of them. The Pfizer-BioNTech COVID vaccine is a sterile, preservative-free, frozen suspension for muscle injection. Okay, so it's preservative-free. The ingredients are going to be the messenger RNA, and then the messenger RNA is encapsulated by lipids or fats. And then there's potassium chloride, then there's monobasic potassium phosphate, sodium chloride, these are salts. And then there is dibasic sodium phosphate dihydrate, it's another salt that's not very different from what's used in pharmaceutical drug production. And there is also sucrose, no preservative. What people sometimes talk about is the lipids or the fats that encapsulate the messenger RNA. We're going to talk about this. The Moderna vaccine has kind of similar constituent, very close, of the messenger RNA, preservative-free, frozen suspension for muscle injection, contains the mRNA, the lipid or fats, and then something called tromethamine. If you look it up, you're going to find that it has been used in the pharmaceutical industry for a long time. Tromethamine hydrochloride, it has acetic acid, sodium acetate, and sucrose. We can think of the lipids or the fats around the messenger RNA as kind of slippery coating that helps to slide the vaccine into the cells. And neither of the vaccines have food proteins. The Pfizer vaccine has a diluent, which is 0.9% sodium chloride, normal saline included. Okay, so who should not get the Pfizer mRNA vaccine? Who should not get the vaccine? The FDA warned Pfizer, working with Pfizer for the fact sheet, and you wouldn't take the vaccine if you have severe reaction to any ingredient in the vaccine, severe allergic reaction to previous dose of the similar vaccine. And also on the first point, the American College of Allergy, Asthma and Immunology released guidance to its allergist members, specifying that based on the information to date, the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine should not be administered to individuals with known history of severe allergy to polyethylene glycol, which is a component of the vaccine. Okay, but still, the anaphylactic reaction to PEG is still, in general, very rare. PEG is a component of the mRNA vaccine, polyethylene glycol. Is it safe for people with soy allergy? As we said and mentioned, PEG is used to coat and protect the mRNA vaccine, but there is no soy protein or other food protein in the mRNA vaccine. So the PEG component of these vaccine derivative of the soy sterols, which are lipids, they do not cross-react with the soy protein that cause soy allergies. Another question. Can I get COVID-19 vaccine if I've got food allergy, drug allergy, latex allergy, or insect allergy? And the guidance to doctors on the Pfizer vaccine, the CDC says that there is no restriction in the US on receiving the Pfizer COVID vaccine for anyone who has a history of food, pet, insect, venom, environment, or latex allergies, or a history of allergy to oral medications, or non-serious drug allergies to vaccines or other injectables, no anaphylaxis, or family history of anaphylaxis or immune-compromised conditions. There is no restrictions. But we're talking about the COVID-19 vaccine from Pfizer. I'm not talking about the one from Moderna. I haven't read the information about who cannot take it for with Moderna. We're going to learn more as we move forward. And there is a 15 minutes observation period that's recommended. People who do report these types of anaphylactic reactions to other vaccines or injectables, they can still get the vaccine, but they should be counseled about the unknown risks of developing severe allergic reaction and balance those risks against benefits of the vaccination. So if you have had an anaphylactic reaction to a vaccine before, check with your doctor. Check with your doctor. Caution should be used in consideration of the vaccine with moderate to severe illness, history of anaphylaxis. So just has to be put into consideration. How about egg allergies? Is the vaccine safe for people with egg allergies? And there is no egg or egg-related component to the RNA vaccine that are in the market. How about another question? Can people with previous COVID infection benefit from the vaccine? The answer is we still do not know because the people that were enrolled in both studies for both vaccines were not supposed to have prior COVID infection. Some of them got COVID infection while in the trial, but more data is going to come out. So we're going to still to wait. We're still waiting to answer this question. Another question is, how sick can I get from the vaccine? And we talked about the main side effects that we see, which is site-specific, fever, muscle pain. The rare side effects are still very rare. Some people say that, okay, what if I actually don't want to take the vaccine? I prefer to have COVID, get sick, and have natural immunity. And that can make sense to some people, but to me it doesn't make any sense because the infection with COVID can have serious results, even for people who recover. Let's say that you are from the, like most of people who recovered from COVID-19, we still see chronic fatigue syndrome. We still see problems of vasculitis, in which there is inflammation in the endothelial layer of the blood vessels. We're talking about the blood supply to the organs. So there can be damage to liver and kidneys. It has happened after a long COVID infection. We see blood clots. There are complications that can happen months after recovery from a COVID infection. Actually, I have a neurologist friend who says that he sees patients coming back after COVID infection a few months ago with weird symptoms. So if you think that getting natural immunity is better, I want to also tell you that there is a paper that's published by Science Magazine talking about the antibodies that are produced after a COVID infection can go against the interference, your own interference that you use in order to fight the viruses. So kind of messes up with your own immune system sometimes. Another thing I want to tell you that the COVID infection, the virus comes from a bat. So you just would choose to get infected with a virus coming from a bat rather than getting a vaccine that's kind of have enough data to be safe and effective. I don't think that this is the right way of thinking. We still have, this is a voluntary vaccine, so you can always opt out. But also think of your family members, think of your close ones, think of your father and mother. I think there is a train of thought that we have to go through. Everyone has to think about, okay, do I take it or not? But you have to think it clearly. At the same time, the information that are presented are very transparent in the United States. And that's going to help us to do an informative decision, okay? I have also another question, which is, when will the vaccine be available for general public? Until today in Wisconsin, there is more than 49,000 doses that arrived to Wisconsin, 49,000 doses. But we have more than 250,000 healthcare workers. They're going to be vaccinated first. 2 weeks from today, there is going to be vaccination to the long-term care facilities after 2 weeks. So we're talking about maybe a couple of months, maybe longer, for the vaccine to be available for the general public. And I don't want us to think of this as a bad thing. There is going to be enough data for us in order to kind of take an informative decision. We still are going to wear our masks. We're going to do what we've been doing all of 2020. So let's just wait and be patient. Another question is, which vaccine shall I get? And I think the answer is going to be based on the availability. What the CDC says is that if you take the first dose of one vaccine, you have to take the second dose from the same vaccine. So if you take the first dose of the Pfizer vaccine, you will wait 21 days and then get the second dose from the same vaccine. If you do it with the Moderna vaccine, you take the first dose today, you have to wait about 28 days to take the second dose. So in general, you're going to take the same vaccine, but you're going to take what's available to you. Most probably the Pfizer vaccine is going to be distributed more to hospitals and to clinics with more kind of clinical setting to keep it in ultra low temperature. So whatever is available to you, you can take. When it comes to the success rate of the vaccines, so we heard before that the Moderna vaccine is 94% effective. It actually fell down to 86% effectiveness, and it's still very high success rate for a vaccine. The Pfizer vaccine is like 90% effective. Okay. Another question is, are 4 months of data enough for us to say that the vaccine is safe? And the answer of this is long and complex, but I can simplify my understanding to this question is like, most of the serious side effects for any vaccine, most of the vaccines have happened in the first 2 months after administration of the vaccine. So 4 months safety profile is not bad at all. That's one point. The other point is that we've seen the Moderna vaccine being authorized to be given in the United States by the FDA. All of the advisory committee, they didn't have objection against authorizing the emergency use authorization for the vaccine. So I think 4 months is enough for myself to take the vaccine. If it's available to me today, I'm going to take it. I don't want to get COVID. I think there's a pandemic and we can contract the virus anytime, and I really don't want to go through this experience. Another question that we answered before, is it better to take the vaccine or risk gaining natural immunity? I think we answered this. Another question we have, which is, when will the children be immunized? Children will not be immunized until they are going to be part of a clinical trial. Pfizer started enrolling children as young as 12 years old in the trial currently, but the results are not out yet. Younger than this age, well, I think the CDC is urging and the FDA are urging the companies to enroll children, but it has to be like, there has to be, this is going to happen in the coming few months, and we're not going to reach 70% immunization rate until the children are vaccinated. So we just have to wait on the data. A thought that I want to tell you is like, development of the vaccine is a very transparent process. For people who say that this is like a lipid kind of encapsulated micro whatever is going to be injected into people, and there is going to be science fiction happening and we're going to all be slaves to the government. It's very hard to do this kind of Hollywood scenario in such big scheme of things. Please do not listen to people who get partial facts from here and there and kind of create a screenplay. We have vaccines with transparent data, thousands of people who enrolled, transparent data, phase 3 clinical trial. The results are very strong. Side effect profile is really solid. That's happening in the United States today. That's happening with the Moderna vaccine. That's happening with the Pfizer vaccine. Let's believe in science. Let's listen to people who actually tell you, this is not because my name is XYZ and I work here or there, or this is my PhD XYZ. No, please search for trusted information, resources, and let's just believe in ourselves. Let's believe in science. Let's read. Let's believe in science. In the United States, we have the privilege of seeing phase 3 clinical trials for the vaccines. We don't see this luxury in Russia with the Russian vaccine. We don't see this luxury in China with the Chinese vaccine. There is no enough transparency to tell people just go and take the vaccine. So that was my first podcast about questions with the COVID vaccine. I am going to make subsequent podcasts, live videos to tell you more answers for questions that I receive as we collect more data. Thank you and have a wonderful night.